I've not flew on a plane since the service, and it's kind of funny. Um, my career started out in El Paso, Texas, but leaving Chicago and being recruited, we volunteered to go into the Army, not knowing what was going to happen. Everybody has a theory or something they went through when they joined the service. But we volunteer to go in the service for a lot of reasons. Some to run away from home, some to call themselves being a man or whatever and stuff. A lot of reasons, and especially not in wartime and stuff. But we go anyway, not knowing what's going to happen. And I remember that night being in some motel or something where we swore ourselves in and stuff, and we stayed there, and as a group of different individuals, different nationalities, different levels of wealth and finance or whatever. We all had something in common of not knowing what was gonna, go on when we left there, and trying to keep a straight face and everything. We was just scared kids, because we didn't really know the about life and stuff, and so when we got to El Paso, we had got off the plane. It was like being in an oven, and we got to stay in the barracks for 3 days, and we didn't really understand why. And we had to get acclimated into the weather, because it was such a change from coming from Chicago, some New York, Boston, and whatever. You had to get used to the environment. So when we got to El Paso, it was like trees I haven't seen, desert. It was brutal. Those tumbleweeds I see on gun smoke and all that. The ones in El Paso, if they roll and hit you, they got thorns in them. And I don't know here in Phoenix. Now I'm in Phoenix, and the thing of it, when I got to El Paso and went through the service, and got out of the service the same day, I got hooked on cocaine from my brother. Introduced me to cocaine for 30 years on and off. I was his slave, doing a lot of shit. Working on cars and all kind of shit, just like I had took a time out on life to be responsible, and he was being a crook, as he always was, or maybe he was a product of his environment, and that's probably what it is. He had no intentions of making me an addict for 30 years. I want to say that. I love my brother, but nevertheless, it happened. But anyway, when we got off the plane, we had to stay in the barracks for 3 days, and it was an eye opener. Those drill sergeants, the running that we had to do, the responsibility that we had to have. They gave you a lot of responsibility to do things that you wouldn't have been trusted at home, like drive deuce and a half with people in it, all kind of stuff, work around nuclear missiles, Hawk missiles. I was working with Hawk missiles and Nike Hercules missiles, and a lot of stuff, and it made you feel like a man before you was actually a man. A lot of responsibility. So the 30 years of taking a time out on life and not realizing responsibilities and goals and being a better person or aspiring to be a better person than you are, all that had went out the door. So my mentality stopped at, I don't know, 27 years old, I think, or something when I got out. So all that time from 30 years up until now, I've learned a lot about the street. I learned a lot about family can be cruel and heartless. I learned a lot about seeing people get their head blowed off right next to me in my old city of Chicago. That part I was sheltered from because I was at home going to school and so I kind of ran away from home to go to the service. That's basically what it was. And as I stayed in the service, I got homesick. Isn't that something? And I wanted to go home. And so 30 years of being on those drugs, I wanted to get back to where things made sense, where people trusted me with multi-million dollar things. Now, of course, I couldn't go back into service after 30 years, but I could get my integrity and I could buy my house and have my own stuff, be self-sufficient. And I finally got there, but it was hell and high water getting here. Of course, I'm a town over or a state over from El Paso, but it was just that I got off the bus in my drug addiction 7 years ago. And actually, I probably thought I was in El Paso. But, we take a time out on life a lot of times, and it took me a year to find out in these inpatient rehabs, those 30-day rehabs are not worth even going to. You got to figure, if you spent 30 years getting high, how is even a year rehab? How is a 30-day program going to help you? It'll help you for the time that you're in there. As soon as you go back, you'll probably be getting high in the day. And so it took me 3 one-year programs to kind of be where I got some integrity and some responsibility to pay bills when I wanted to get high. Now that I'm 100% service connected, it's no way back then I would have took $3,000 and got high instead of paying my bills and having a brand new car now. I would have said fuck it, because all the time you're getting high, especially when you start, you'll spend your whole check, not go to work, be out on the street, you don't care. And you'll go to the rehab, and then next time you'll spend half of your check and do some of the things you're supposed to do and go back to the rehab. And as you learn about things, as you learn about how cruel life can be, as you learn about never being so hungry as when you done spent all your money. I remember something. I was hungry. It was the day before I was supposed to get some money, and I was hungry. My stomach was hurting. I seen a now later. I don't know, y'all know what a now later, the candy. Oh, it had fell on the ground. I'm telling you, I was hungry. Well, it felt like my stomach line was going together. I ate that now later, and I used to go to the 7-Eleven or somewhere. I think it was in Wisconsin, and asked the guy for the donuts after they had sold them and stuff. I think he gave me a dirty donut or something because I was making it a habit. But I found out how cruel life is and how nice people, especially dope dealers, will be to you when you got money. When you sitting on that crate and milk crate, when you come in Friday night talking shit, just buying everybody everything, and you feel like they're gonna look out for you. No, they ain't gonna look out for you. They gonna tell you it's time to go. So things like that makes you really realize that you can be up one day and then down the next day. That's why I always give the homeless people more money than I would give anybody else, even if it's my last, because I've been there before and someone helped me. And so we don't know why we fall by the wayside a lot of times, because it's hidden. And mine's some of it, since I had psychologists and psychiatrists giving me pills and stuff in North Chicago and the West Side VA. Eventually, I found out it was a hidden reason, hit by somebody getting ran over with the car, asking me for aspirins when he was all tore up. But that was no excuse, but it was just a hidden reason. So you'll be surprised when you find out. But you have to go to long-term rehabs. You have to go to them probably 3 or 4 times. And I went to 3 one-year programs. 1 in North Chicago, 2 in North Chicago, Navy base at the VA, and 1 in Toma, Wisconsin. And I was way up there, almost by Superior Lake. No, that was Oshkosh, Wisconsin. I went for 22 days, a $30,000 program that the VA paid for. And see, this is the thing with Phoenix. All of those funds are misappropriated. They have given funds to different people in the VA, like art teachers. They got a program. We went fishing. I went fishing for the first time at 40 years old. I went to my first baseball game at 40 years old. I went to my first play at first on a stage with actors at 40 years old. And the rich people was saying, we was a group of all kind of nationalities, black soldiers, and they said, we are so happy to see you guys come here because we know this is going to have an effect on you for life. And it did. Man, it did. Not the baseball game. Well, my father never took me because he's a working man, and so I didn't care for baseball. I don't watch it on TV now. Fishing, I never went fishing, so I don't care for it. The plays, I wouldn't spend $500 to go to a play, even if I wasn't getting high, because I never went to it. Now I would, and so it was something else when the rich people said, we are glad to see y'all come here because we know it's going to make an impression on you. So you have to be in a program for a while and away from your home to even have a half chance to get clean. So a lot of times soldiers fall from the wayside like leaves fall from the trees. Thank you.